kind of blessing to get you up.
There it is.
For sure.
Look, I didn't even do prelude music, nothing. We just live, So, oh man. So, I guess I should say good morning and all of that good stuff. So we coming in the middle of conversation, just kind of going live, starting like right here. I could do all of that music stuff, but I'm not going to. We just gonna check in. So, yeah, church, you get your coffee. You gonna get your coffee. You need some caffeine. You need to do something while folks tapping in. What you need to do in order to wake up? Since you was up.
I'm woke. I'm ready.
Netflix. Was it Netflix or was it what was it?
Amazon Prime. What's the Prime Video? They trying to start dropping fire now, man. Stay in their lane.
It's some of everything on there, bro. It's like the upscale Tubi on Amazon Prime Video. I was like, dang! I clicked on one black exploitation movie or whatnot, and it just took me down this rabbit hole. And I was like, wow, I'm in love. I'm gonna get all my Prime membership.
You may like under there.
Yeah.
It's always something like Love Jones or something like that.
Good morning, Wendy. Look, we just chopping it up for a minute, letting folks tap in before we start our conversation. So right now we're talking about church being we're used to Netflix all night long, right? Wait, what was Netflix and chill all about? I'm old. Help me know what. I wonder what was that?
Well,
you got that one, church. That's on your church. You got that one.
I knew y'all was about to do that.
That's the wake up question, church. Go ahead.
No.
Lead us to greatness.
Y'all not gonna help me?
Just because I've been woke the longest, y'all gonna see the devil this way, huh? Okay.
Wait, is it a bad thing? Netflix and chill is bad.
No, I mean it's good, but the way your life's set up it's not for you.
Wait, I'm trying to live my best life. I'm trying to
when you Netflix and chilling, sis, it's no chilling. It's really no Netflix. It's just the background music. You know, when you was younger, you had to make statements when somebody came over. That's Netflix.
Wait, so you had the what?
You know how when you was younger and your lady or the man friend you liked, and you always had that special mixtape you played when it was that time to chill together.
Oh,
right? That's what Netflix is, and the chilling is you and your friend.
Got you. So on my Spotify, because I have a Spotify Pro account, right? And there is a playlist on my account. If y'all want to tap in, it's called That List.
See, that's why that's not what we doing.
Yeah, you only listen to that playlist once and that's when you're setting it up. The rest of the time is just background music.
Okay, that's for the guys. That's for me.
No, that is Netflix and chill. That's what we're trying to explain.
Okay, so then I'm sorry. Going back to what is this? Okay, I'm gonna get off of Netflix and chill because apparently I don't really. That's some grown up stuff. I don't need to know nothing about. Marcel over there smiling, grinning, and thinking a whole lot. Marcel, what's Netflix and chill?
That was for Church to answer. That was Church's question. He got it.
Y'all,
that was. I leave it to Church. So what?
This is what happens when you have like married men in conversation. Ain't none of y'all trying to step up to this one.
We're trying to give it to you in a way that it is so just flat out. Netflix and chill is actually an old term now for putting on whatever comes on Netflix and having sex instead of actually looking at Netflix, right?
That's not even chilling. These kids don't know what.
That's what I'm saying. That's why Church said there is no Netflix and there is no chill.
Okay. At all. At all.
Okay, I get it now. I understand. All right, so here we go. We go ahead and we're gonna transition. So good morning. I said good morning to folks as y'all tap in or what have you. My name is Tony McNeil. I am the founder and host facilitator of Anti-Black Conversations. And Anti-Black Conversations, just a space where we come together in order to talk about the anti-Blackness that is rooted within the Black community, how we operate from anti-Blackness one to another, the way that we see ourselves, the way that we process information, the way that we respond to different things as a collective is deeply, deeply rooted in anti-Blackness. Some folks understand it, some folks don't. It's not easily explained. However, it is a real thing. We were born and bred, right, in a white supremacist, racist society. And there is no way that we can escape operating from anti-Blackness within ourselves, because our society dictates it in mainstreaming us as a community and a culture. Shoot, we might have to just have an anti-Black conversation about anti-Blackness in our society, just to really break the blah, blah, blah down of that thing right there. So today's anti-Black conversation monthly, we have what is called the King's Court. Ryan, you are going to explain to the folks what the King's Court is. Ryan.
Well, first of all, I was just here so I don't get fined, as the good brother Marshawn Lynch always says. So I couldn't tell you really what everybody else is doing here. This is why I came. I was told that there's a meeting at 10 o'clock, and if you ain't there, stop by. Honestly, man, it's a blessing to have this space with my brothers and the Queen, Tony herself. The King's Court Conversations, man, it's just a space for us to really unpack what our experiences are as men in a way that allows us to really dig into the layers of what it's like being Black men in this society, and the different things we encounter from our daily lives is our personhoods ourselves, but fathers, husbands, partners, sons, brothers, mentors, students, just all the different roles and titles that we carry, but that often don't give us a chance to show who we are behind those titles. So it's really a space to unpack that and really share out with other brothers and sisters and family members across what the experience like, and things that might change how you view us and other men when you see us out in these streets. And that's my best shot at it, but I open it up to any of my other brothers to share their perspective too.
You should put them on the spot the way I put you on the spot. So when, let me see, D'Angelo, introduce yourself and tell us what's the King's Court.
I think Ryan did a great job. Hey, I'm D'Angelo Mack. It's good to be here. Thank you, Elder Tony. I think this is a space that the great Elder Tony McNeil has created for us to come and really just be authentic. I don't think that there's enough spaces for Black men to come and just be, right? There's this idea of restoring the spirit of being and really capturing who we are. We are not a monolith, and we come in all forms, shapes, thought patterns, but this is a safe space to just be and share how we feel and what's been going on. There's a lot of conversations we like to have and always talking about getting together as men to do that, but don't often get a chance to do so. So I think that's what I feel. I really appreciate the space and the opportunity to just share and grow with my brothers here in this circle, square, rectangle.
What's a monolith, if you don't mind me asking?
It's just this cookie cut, conglomerate of the same, right? Very often, especially in America, folks think that Black people are one thing, right? Or specifically Black men, well, Black women too, right? Black women are angry and loud. Black men are angry and loud, and dangerous and suspect and unsavory, right? But we got flavor. We got the Lowry seasoning salt of flavor all up in us. So, yeah.
Even some Old Bay.
Some Old Bay.
So, church, introduce yourself and tell us what's the King's Court to you.
Good morning to the people out there that's just tapping in with me. Because I'm just tapping in, that's what I'm saying. My name is Joseph Truville, known as Church. I hate when I don't go first because they always say what you want to say, so you got to find something intelligent to say after that.
Here you go.
Yeah.
This dude always got something to say. That's why they call it Church.
The King's Court to me. I'm the only person who act like you don't have nothing to say but be loaded with a lot.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, they say what they call it being humble.
Okay.
Oh man, but no, the King's Court
to
me.
But we'll talk about that later.
Let me get my life together, y'all. Like what they said, just to piggyback off of what they said, I think the King's Court was created for people like us. When I say people like us, people that were natural kings, to get back into their element, to show the gifts and blessings that we've come across in this world that people tend to not look upon. I think it's a space where we can come and be safely talked about with each other in a way that we don't see on TV. We spread knowledge and love. We talk about stuff that a lot of people won't touch on. And I think it's a space where gifts are given for free. Pretty much, to put it in plain sense for you.
So look, and keeping in thought what dropped in my mind, I'm just kind of flowing in the spirit this morning. So y'all just gonna have to deal with me today. I'm sorry and not sorry. We took the crabs out the bucket and put them around the round table, had them put their armor and check it at the door, created a safe space so that they didn't have to come in slinging swords and stuff at one another. And then said, okay, this is going to be the King's Court. Instead of crabs in a bucket, we're trying to create a King's Court. I remember you saying that about the crabs in the bucket, Church. And so, yeah, now the crabs aren't climbing over each other trying to get to the top. They're now sitting around the round table, having real conscious discussion on how to stay out the bucket and support each other. So, yeah, I see a king that came in here with his king mug and his king. Y'all see him, right? Y'all know who I'm talking about, right? This brother just come in here talking about royalty just hit the table, and stuff, all of his authority and stuff, So good morning, King Keon. How you doing?
Good morning, all. Peace, Queen.
It's good to see you this
morning. And it's good to be seen and not viewed, as the elder would say.
Introduce yourself. Look, wait, Sawubona.
Sawubona. Yeah. I see you.
Yeah.
Peace, family. Brother Keon, village hand, father, educator, creator, artist, and whatever else I may be missing. Brother, a king as far as it pertains to this council right here and my brotherhood. What does the King's Court mean to me? Just that. It's the King's Court, man. It's where we come and I would call it the game exchange, right? I learned so much from these brothers every time. And it's, we don't hold these spaces often, but every time we do, it's a good time. And it's a space to learn, space to grow, space to chop it up and, just exchange dialogue. And the game exchange. Game, good advice from my elders. Good advice from my elders. And it's good to see y'all. It's good to see y'all and be in space with y'all again. It's been a while.
Good to see you too, brother.
Hey, I've never heard game broke down like that. I'm still in that.
Right. It's good, man. You know what? It's tool. And it's literally the creator gave it to me like 15 years, 10 years ago. It's good advice from my elders, and God advised me every day.
Good advice from my elders. God advised me every day.
Yeah.
I see Ryan taking notes. He gonna drop that somewhere.
Immediately. Expeditiously.
Yeah, I see him. Marcel. The quiet.
My turn? Is it the quiet one?
The quiet.
It's funny. I was about to take some space. Me and Ryan had this conversation with, what was it, Thursday? We had this issue about black men being told that we're not allowed to hold too much space or take too much distance. So I'm about to take some space, but I saw Ryan looking at me too. I could feel the energy, brother. But so Mark, so the question is my name and what does the King Court mean to me?
Actually, it could be whatever you want.
Oh, cool. Now let's go with the King's Court. So my name is Marcel, and the King's Court to me, what I understand it to be, is that as black men, as black people in general, we often live in an ecosystem that we're defined by, that wants to define us. And this is a space in which we come together and we unpack how we've internalized those definitions that have been imposed onto us, and we lay out the nuances of and develop our own agency to say, no, this is who we are as black men across the continuum, not in the monolith.
You know, I'm going to ask for that.
You're gonna ask what?
You to break that down a little more.
Say, as black men, we're told by society, social media, everybody else who we are. And so we come to this space and we say, no, we quiet the noise. We're telling you who we are. And we're not a monolith. We're not just these singular entities who are violent, who are uneducated, who are subhuman. We are fully human, fully emotional, fully intellectual. And this is a space where you listen to us and we tell you what that means and what that looks like.
Whew, okay, he just dropped the mic on that one. So that's what the King's Court is. And this is not, these individuals aren't the only kings that make up the King's Court. They're just kings that showed up. So I want to say that because I want to make sure that we know that at any given moment, there can be different kings that show up. There are different kings that can show up in this space, at this table, and it just multiply and grow.
Can I throw something in there, Tony, real quick? Yeah. I think the other thing that's important to know about this King's Court, and I think all King's Courts as it should be, but I can tell you from firsthand knowledge about the king sitting at this court, is the greatest assignment, title, and role we carry with that title of king is servant. These are some of the greatest servants I've ever seen, walk, block, and step with, and served alongside of ever. And I think the mark of any king is that you are the top servant, the lead servant for your people, for your community, for those you're protecting, for those you're serving in the whole nine. So the beauty of this space too, and I think Tony said it great, is that this is our opportunity to come in and take our armor off and sit at the table and converse with one another, right? Keon said exchange game. Man, I don't know a king that doesn't need strategy in the King's Court that informs him better, or her better in the Queen's Court space of it to move forward. But all of those things holding true. I just wanted to lift that up for anybody who walks around, I'm a king. Okay, so are you serving your people first and foremost? I just got to throw that out there because this is something that I learn daily from every single one of these brothers at this table, and that's in this conversation.
And let me just,
it's a coalition.
Let me put a period, because what people don't understand about kingship is that, again, just as Ryan said, a king is the lead servant, right? Kingship is all about servitude and modeling servitude for those that serve the king, right? We look at, we say all the time, we wear the crown, but when you really break that down, you don't wear a crown, you bear a crown. There's no such thing as wearing a crown. If you're wearing a crown, you're doing it wrong, right? You bear the crown. When you look at the king is to serve all that's in his court, right? Or all that's in the king's dominion. And that's the king's one job, is to serve all. Well, even though he has everybody serving him, he has to model that servitude and what that looks like that way, So it's really about servitude. So yeah, Ryan.
You see Isaiah's comment? The King's Court means try Jesus, don't try me.
Yo, that's really what I was just smiling at right now at this very fucking moment. That's my guy, bro.
Love Isaiah, man. Coming in immediately.
Ryan, I'm going to switch my technology. So while I do that, can you go ahead and hold down the space?
Yeah,
you want me to transition us into the topic before I tap?
I got you. Because I know one of the things that we wanted to have this follow-up space is closing our last conversation we had on toxic relationships. was that question of, do you ever feel safe to take your armor off? I want to bring us back to that and start there, because I think that unpacks so much of everything that we just laid out and what the King's Court is, what our conversation is, and why we need these spaces. So I'll open it up. Do you ever feel safe to take your armor off? And if so, why? Or where?
If I could jump, I think last time we did this, Church kind of he interpreted it different than we all interpreted it, man. So I want to double back and let Church, I'll let it first, man.
Let's go.
I don't remember what I said. I don't remember what I said, bro.
No, if I remember correctly, we were talking about armor just in the world as black men, and you were talking about like with your spouse, and so you're like, no, I can take my armor off with my spouse, and we came in like, no, the world wants to kill us, and we can't take our armor off. And so you was like, hold on, I'm misinterpreting. Yeah, and so yeah, we'll double back with you on that one.
I remember. I knew y'all was gonna come to me first. I seen it in your face, bro. It's like I see all five of y'all, but I looked up. I was like, he coming for me. I love y'all, bro. I swear I do. Oh man, but no, I won't say piggyback because they probably don't remember how we do, because when I talk, like, look, I brought the notes out, bro. I had to start a whole new page because I was looking here, like, I don't know if y'all know, I'll be looking down, I'll be writing notes, bro. I'll be having to keep it because the game y'all give. But I don't know, me, armor is something that you don't even know you've developed over the years, coming up as just like a man in general, but a black man. It's like it's given to you when you're in the womb, right? You don't even know you come out with it. So like growing up, it's like I didn't know how to take armor off because I didn't know I had armor on. So the disguise of mindset I had was like, I'm just being a man. I'm just being a black man. I'm just being a leader. I'm just being strong. When in all reality, I was building up walls of weakness to hide the fact that I wasn't strong enough to deal with what I had going on, right? But just to get further into my point, as I got older, the level of comfortability I had started to grow within me as I got closer to my wife. When I got with my wife, it was different for me because the perspective of what I felt I should give out as a leader and as a man changed when I found somebody who allowed me to be vulnerable but didn't throw it back in my face as I was being vulnerable. And when it was over, to the point where I never felt like it was spoken of, like the weakness I had or acknowledged, but you can feel when somebody lifts you up from those weaknesses. So that's how I learned how to be vulnerable, just in the long story short. So y'all know I could keep going on and on, but like with my wife, it was different for me because I had to change my mindset. And then with my wife, I won't say she showed me the path, but the way I was growing, it was like she got behind me and stood on the floor so I could step over and keep going, right? And then got up and stood right beside me as I continued to walk. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like when I was doing stuff, I didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't understand what I was doing. And then when you listen to a perspective from a woman, especially a strong woman, it changes everything you have. But as a man, you just have to open up your mind. And that's how I learned how to take my armor off without knowing I was taking armor off. And then I start to be more emotional, more vulnerable to conversations like this. Like 10 years ago, you'd ask me this question, I would say something or like, man, you know, when you put the pistol down, bro, you know, you're just doing your thing, bro. I'm in these streets, you know, like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like, that's not the truth.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So just to start it off with y'all, this is me. I like I don't know when I actually learned it or how I learned it, but getting in conversations with scholars like y'all gentlemen, bro, I realized that when you take back moments, you go back. That's how it started for me. Like when I got into it with my wife as a serious relationship and we got serious with each other, then I start to open up and get gifts back that I was giving out that I didn't know I was giving out and know how to take in with responsibility of giving them back out. I mean, so
Church, you said something dope there, and again, I want everybody. That question's open to everybody, but I'm gonna pick up something Church said and fold it into the question. Church said that with his wife, it allowed him to really get into his vulnerability differently, right? Like that he can actually start opening it up, but not have it thrown back against him. Which in my ear, I heard it as I was protected by my partner with my partner, right? So there was a protective layer that was still there that allowed you to really get vulnerable, and I get that because I think that's what it's looked like for me is where I've started really unpacking my armor, trying to start peeling off pieces of my armor. It's because I started finding those spaces where I could be vulnerable and feel safe in that space of it too, right? My wife definitely has been the biggest, most safest place of it, right? And I usually thought of my home is where I could take my armor off, right? And home has a lot of definitions to it too, right? I told my wife oftentimes now when I look at her, I'm at home immediately. Like where we hold eye contact, I'm at home. Be anywhere in the world, but with her, I'm there. We're safe. We're good. But is that true for everybody else, or is there a layer of that relates to some of your other stories around where y'all might look at taking your armor off and being vulnerable?
Yeah. Sure said something. It kind of triggered me because he said he saw his wife as a protector, and I've thought of the protection being reciprocal like that. I can say as I thought about it, I've never had a protector. Like I was on the streets and people would protect me, but that came at a cost of things that I had to do. I had to reciprocate back. And so as I think about it, like I've never had somebody I looked at that could protect me, and so the armor had to always stay on because I'm always vulnerable. I'm always exposed.
But if you think about it, the reason I say that is when you have a wife, well, first off, I'm a different kind of man, right? So it's different levels to having a wife and being a husband, right? I'm a fucking husband, a real one, right? So it's different when you have that level, bro, right? Because like the vulnerability level is bro. I was gonna get so deep. I'm gonna come back to it, bro. Y'all go because I don't want to cut y'all off. Yo, we ain't even
I want to hear it now. You open the door. You said I'm gonna get deep and then stop. Like man, you gotta walk through the door, brother.
You know what I'm saying? You can't tease it like that, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, I got this bomb ass steak over here, bro. I don't know if you're hungry right now, but I'm gonna hold it because I don't think you're really hungry right now. Like, you got to go into that, bro.
I got you. So what I meant when I said that is like when I say I'm a real husband, I say it to the point to where there's no hidden secrets, right? If I feel away, I feel away. My emotions are on my sleeves all the time, but at the same time I wear them on my sleeves, I'm wearing them on my mind, right? So when I speak to my wife, I'm speaking in a sense to where it's no judgment should be had. The judgment you need to give me back is the strength that I'm giving, the weakness that I'm giving out, right? So when I give you my weakness, she throws it back as a strength, right? And I'm saying that to say this. When you get married and you're serious about marriage, like you take the guidelines of being a husband serious, who
Goes
else
to notebook because it's
do you
about to
lean
get
on?
deep.
He
No,
says,
Continue,
when I give her
my brother.
I know the moment that happened. He
bro.
said, when I give her my weakness, she throws it back as a strength.
That's right.
Right. And then, right, because look, like when we sitting there, as just generally speaking, from us, the faces we see, color, right, we're built different. Like no matter what anybody says, like you can be 4'11", 100 pounds, you're still one of the strongest men in the room when you walk in as a black man. It's just like that, right? So when you meet a queen, like not a woman, but a queen, it hits different, right? So, and I'm saying that to say, when someone tends to uplift you instead of bring you down, it turns to take the mindset different, right? So when you get into the zone of the secrets in the life that you live as a man, and in the pain that you felt growing up as an individual, right? Who are you giving that to more than the person you're laying your head to every night, waking up to every morning, right? So if the strength isn't given from the wife, right, then what are we really doing, right? Because you know me more than anybody else in this world besides the person that brought me in. And since I separated as a man, she doesn't know me like how you know me because I'm in places with you that I'm not in with anybody else, right? So that's what I mean when I say that, right? Like, it's I don't know, bro. My wife is just but when I found the queen, then I found out what a king was, right? Because you can't have a queen and you being a peasant, right? No queen and queen's peasants.
Can you hear me speaking? You can hear me speaking, right?
Okay.
Okay. Stop playing with me. So, you ain't getting past that. Hold on. I'm about to cuss. What's the difference? No. So, no, for real. I'm like, this might have to be a co-ed. Write down the note, Ryan. Part 2, we're going to have a mixed conversation. For real, for real. What's the difference between a black woman and a black queen? Because I'm so tired. Well, no, let me go back to my real nice flowery stuff. There is a difference. And in order for a king to be able to speak his vulnerability, and then she speak it back as a strength. That means that she's elevated to a place that your average, just everyday female hasn't. So I need y'all to speak to that real quick. What's the difference? Y'all got queens, y'all talking about queens, and we got folks that's, running around talking about their queen, but they still, you know what I'm saying? They ain't even queen in training.
D'Angelo cracked open that notebook so quick, and and I know some things resonated.
Listen, it's a blank page, first of all, because I'm processing and taking in everything. But I think to your question, Tony, and thank you, Church, for all of that wisdom. I think the answer to this question is a simple word, and that is perspective. I think the difference between a Black woman and a Black queen, the difference between a Black man and a Black king is perspective. I think we are all, kings and queens, but until we realize it, we aren't all kings and queens, right? I think I love the conversation about, your wife and the vulnerability that you can use and have and be and take your armor off and all of those things. But it's also difficult when your wife doesn't understand she's a queen, or your husband doesn't understand he's a king, for that matter, right? And so what church is talking about is a reciprocal action that can only happen when two people know who they are. And he knows who he is, and it sounds like his wife knows who she is. And I'm not talking about the roles they play. I'm talking about the internal being of who they are, right? I'm not talking about staying in your place and all those silly, things. I'm talking about who we are first off, right? I think a real big. So I'm in my. For those that are listening, in my last bio, in the bio we did in the last session, I think all my brothers are married. I'm divorced twice and not married. And I believe a lot of our issues come from not knowing who we are first, and getting into relationships that we have joined together on our own, right? I feel like if I knew who I was before I jumped into these relationships, things would be a whole lot different. Now, the same goes for that partner, right? They definitely need to know who they are. It's you don't get into these relationships and then begin to unpack your shit. You unpack your shit on your own. The coming together as one, that union, is a beautiful thing. But even when you come together as one, there's a misconception. You are still an individual, and you still need to be working on yourself with the help. Now you got to help, right? With the help of that person. But the issue of Black queen, Black king, and understanding that comes from a series of being socialized, how we've been raised, the issues that we've gone through, and just hearing the conversation from earlier, this question about when can you take off your armor. There's also this other question: why do you have the armor on, right? So often we are wearing this armor to cover our scars, not to prevent scars, right? I heard Church talk about, early on and in his life. I heard Marcel talk about early on in his life. And we have a bunch of scars that we are covering up with our armor. And the reason we keep our armor on is because we don't want folks to see those scars, right? And that's the same for our spouses. When we've opened up, I'll speak in I statements. When you've opened up and they see that wound and they stick their finger in it, you say, man, I'm gonna keep this armor on in this relationship as well, right? I'm gonna keep. Not only do I have to keep this armor on in the world, because we know they poking and prodding, wounds, right? But in my house, I'm gonna keep this armor on too, because it's not safe. I can't show you these wounds. These wounds have always been protected by my armor since I was a little boy, and it's been helpful for me, but it's also been a hindrance that we are realizing. And so I really do think it's about perspective, knowing yourself intimately.
Mm.
I'm glad you said that last part, knowing yourself intimately, because perspective was one, but I was going to say knowledge of self. The
Yes, sir.
difference between that, like you said, and comes back to knowing yourself intimately, is knowledge of self. And that's what normally, it's a thin line, or that's the line between, just man and woman versus kingship and queenship. Is knowledge of self.
So let me make sure that I'm hearing you all clearly, because I'm gleaming and learning as we go as well. And I think that I've stepped into. I didn't start calling myself queen, Ryan, as you know. And this is I get a little tender in my heart talking about it. It took being around kings that had that perspective of who they were to draw me out, Marcel, in order to walk in it. I was deeply wounded. And my perspective of men was very, very fragile, and very broken. So I started working in spaces surrounded by Black men from the concrete, Black men that had gone through the work, you know what I'm saying, in order to heal. And I'm not talking about perfect Black man, Look, Aaron Foster, I'll throw him under the bus. That he far from perfect, but he seen that I was a queen and began to entreat me, for what it was that he saw and drew out. Marcel would draw out, Ryan would draw out. They begin to make demands on me to function, but also would be like, queen, I got that. Let me do this. Let me pick that up for you. Please let me serve you. Please allow me to. It took a minute for me to know that that was okay, because there wasn't anything in return that they were asking of me.
I heard you say something there, Tony, that as you were saying it, to me, it translated as the accountability of the crown, to recognize the royalty, or more plainly, the fullness of life around you, right? What you're speaking to was me acknowledging all of who you are from the moment I seen you in that light, right? Same thing I do with Marcel, same thing I do with D'Angelo, with church, with Keon, with my wife, with my friends, like with anybody I encounter. It's that part of, do I pause and acknowledge all of you, even if you're not willing to start speaking into that and start pulling that out. And it's a hard thing to do. It can be a hard thing to do. One, as you said, like if you don't recognize when that does or doesn't happen in yourself. But it can be hard for the person receiving it, because it's like, wait, what? You're pushing something that my whole dynamic and how I see this world is, right? Like you're starting to shift that perspective that D'Angelo was talking about. And I think the beauty in pushing that perspective is that, to me, it may start or jumpstart a healing process. I'm not going to say the or the only healing process, but a healing process, because you heard everybody kind of talk about scar tissue, right? And I love what Keon said, that knowledge of self and intimately knowing yourself, as D'Angelo said. For me, it's that part of, to really intimately know yourself, it's to know how you react to those wounds too, right? That armor's built up because once you poke it, I'm like, ooh, nope, because I immediately might want to hit you in your throat when you first poked it, right? Because it's a defensive response. It's something me protecting myself. When I know that it's poked, it's like, okay, I'm not even going to let you poke that, because I know what my reaction is going to be. So now I'm reinforcing that armor more and more and more, right? But what happens to the inverse of that? If we take it off and we start really exploring that wound, and I think that's that deeper layer of being more intimate of ourselves and understand like what type of healing we need, right? And that, like I said, is a hard, challenging thing to do. When I think about that process of me taking off my armor, I'm willingly taking it off for my wife because she gives me that safety, right? But am I willingly doing it for myself? Because sometimes, because that scar tissue is so thick and it's built up around that armor, I might be pulling flesh as I'm pulling that armor off. I think of Game of Thrones or any of those shows where you see these dudes going to battle and they got their, their metal armor on and all that stuff, and they having like 18 different sword fights and they got cuts and scars over their face. But what you're looking at on their armor is that armor's damaged too, which means underneath that armor, there's damage that's happening. So, and they never showed on the show, but I can imagine if you're pulling off that armor, you're peeling flesh and there's pain that's associated with that too. but you can't heal it properly unless you access it to figure out what's going on. So to put it plainly, if we're intimately learning ourselves and knowing ourselves, how are we addressing the wound and that scar tissue? How heavy is that scar tissue that we need to address?
What's the word? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, this is still the opener, huh?
Yeah, this is. Yeah, we have.
This is still the opener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because man, you talk about growing and learning. Is there hope, you all, when you guys, as you look at it, is there hope for the healing and reconciliation of the Black king and queen?
Ooh. Listen, as it pertains to that, and this I tell everybody and anybody all the time, I operate from a place of hopefulness and hopelessness when it comes to us. And it's always a tug. I believe that we can, but because of who we are, I believe that we can. But I don't know if we ever will. I honestly believe we can, but I just as much don't know if we ever will. And it's a scary place, you know, because I'm afraid of what it's going to take for us to get there. You know, 500 years later, if we haven't arrived at this point and know what we up against, and sometimes I'll be like, you know, but again, because of who we are, we still here, you know. I believe we can, but I don't know if it's going to take another 500 years. I don't know what catastrophic, you know, what it's going to take for us to get there. Last night, this is a side note, but as it pertains to this, last night I was watching this documentary Nas put out on a Supreme team, Crack in the 80s, New York. I was there. And it was a scene that came up, and me and Tia, it kind of broke into a small conversation. It was a scene that came up wherein the brothers who the documentary is about, they in prison, they washed, they sitting down, still youngin'. And they was talking about, you know, just what New York was in the 80s. And I was telling her, and it sounded weird coming out my mouth, but I was there. And they was talking about the difference between like a police officer was talking, a pig was talking, and he was like, man, it was so fun, you know, making arrests every day and da-da-da-da-da-da. She was like, huh? And I was like, but at this point, when crack hit New York in the 80s, and as much as I'm anti-pig as it is, I was like, no, babe, we needed them. Like we really, 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 really needed them out there to combat what was going on. And in that light, the part of the conversation continued, and we're just saying like how the deficit we're operating at right now as people. It was so much confusion in that statement. And I say all that to say it's so much to be undone. In order for us to get to that place that we're talking about, it's so much shit in between to be undone that then spread out and went its own ways. Like everybody got some work to do. Everybody needs to be worked on. Everybody, and it's all of us. If we was to take account, I promise you, because let's look at this. We're talking about crack. We're talking about the effects of crack nationally. Outside of, you know, what we've been through, Jim Crow, slavery, da-da-da-da. Let's just stop at crack and what crack did to us.
My God.
And we never dealt with that.
Right.
Everything that you look at today, everything in terms of Black culture that we look at today is directly related to crack cocaine. All of it. And I say this, it's subtly, it started with hip hop. Now, I know it's curving and everything, but just follow me for a minute. When you look at the culture of what hip hop is and where it started and what it started from, crack had everything to do with it. And the music, let's just talk about the music. It went out in so many ways. It's so layered in so many folds in this thing. I say that to say, when I say I'm hopeful and hopeless, the people that we are today and how we exist today, as it relates to what crack cocaine did to our communities, our culture, where we at right now, I don't know if we ever will.
So you're saying that the layers and the toxicity and just all of the things that would need to be addressed and unpacked as a whole makes it appear or seem hopeless. However, there is hope, individually, with the people. And I see Marcel, I see your brain spinning and thinking. I'm like, and so like, come on with it. I changed devices so that you can come off mute and just do what you got to do.
Yeah, we messed up in a real way. I'm grateful for the remnants, those who still holding on and pushing, but I would honestly say we outnumber. The good people and the good intent and all that, we outnumber compared to just dealing what it is. Our reality is we are
Okay.
fucking outnumbered.
So the issues that would need to be addressed outnumber the hopefulness or the intent. Let me hear from more of you guys on this. Is there hope for the healing and reconciliation between the Black king and queen?
I'm hopeful. This conversation makes me hopeful. It's something that Ryan said, something that Church said. I know back in the last conversation, Church made the comment of like the crabs in the bucket, right? We kind of pull each other back, but the bucket isn't the crab's natural habitat, right? And so you have to think about context. And Ryan said earlier about the armor getting infused in our bodies. That was the first time I ever realized, like, damn, I'm not supposed to walk around wearing armor. That's not my body's natural state, right? And so you have to begin to think, is it us or is it the context that we're in? So we start thinking about context. That's what white supremacy does. It wants to decontextualize. It wants to hyper-individualize, right? And so I'm hopeful because I think that we can reimagine and reconstruct our context so that we can be in our natural spaces where we genuinely love each other and reconcile to each other as loving beings. But that makes me hopeful. I know it's a lot of work to do. I don't think it's easy. And I think it takes more warfare to get there. But I am hopeful as we begin to decolonize and deconstruct our context and say, what is the space we want to live into as Black men and Black women, Black kings and Black queens, so we can be free.
That's good. I've had conversations with Ryan often about this, and I've just accepted it that exactly what Keon's saying, that this change that we're looking at, the identification of returning to kings and queens and things of that matter, it just won't happen in my lifetime. It probably won't happen in my child's lifetime or their children's lifetime. But there is a hope that it will, because of men like you, right? Because of folks like you, because of the movement, right? The remnant, if you will. I'm still holding on to that hope only because the genuine power that I see. My man Keon, my brother, said something that just echoed in my spirit. And he said, let's just focus on crack. Not Jim Crow, not the prison industrial complex, not slavery, not the trip over here. He said, let's just focus on crack. And what that made me say is, damn, Black people are powerful.
Whew.
When you think about laying crack on our backs as the sole, whip, and we still are thriving, we still are creating, we still are speaking truth to power, we still are loving, then you topple that with every other diabolical thing that white supremacy is trying to place on us. I have to have hope because we are still here, right? We are still moving forward. This rectangle right here, as hopeless as things might seem, are still pouring in and feeding our families and our communities and the folks that are around us. And I believe we are still raising up people in that same image. And what I'm seeing right now is, and I'm very, very pleased about the direction of this generation, right? The generation of young Black folks coming before us. And this idea about really thinking about future, this Black futurism thought, and and really seeing ourselves in the future, right? Because I really believe that in the future, we are rocking in that spirit of vibranium, right? We really are rocking, in that true spirit of power. We can't see it, but we still doing it, right? Our ancestors who we stand on their shoulders, they couldn't see it, but they were still rocking it, right? It wasn't happening in their time, right? And so I'm holding on to the small victories, believing that they will be, generational changes for those coming behind me.
Yo, I gotta jump in because D said something that's so powerful, and I know
Hey,
we
bro,
talked.
I hate to cut you off. I hate to
Church, go on, bro. I already know.
bro,
Look,
but, can we? Because I'm in complete right now, as the question stands, I'm in complete opposite of everything that was just said. So I need because we're never not on the same page. So I'm confused. Can we clarify the question? Can we get more context on the question real quick? Because we're in disagreement and we're never in disagreement. And it baffled me. I know y'all see me over here like, I'm confused. I got to be thinking of the question a different way. I have to.
Let's start with how you're thinking of the question.
The question was,
is there hope and I had to write it down. Is there hope and reconciliation for the Black king and queen? Reconciliation how? And what are we talking like? Because
is there hope for the healing and reconciliation?
Is there hope for?
Not in.
Okay, now it makes more sense.
Is there hope?
That's my guy right there. That's my guy.
And I had to go in and edit in order to ensure, because words mean something. Every participle, every verb, adjective, every conjunction, it all means something. Not is there hope in the reconciliation, because if the word was in, then that would mean it's already active and happening, and so is there hope in something that's already manifesting itself and what have you? Then we'd have to unpack it differently. I'm saying, is there hope for the? Oh God, I feel you in that. I have goosebumps.
Okay, I'm glad you said
that. Is that the next question? Is the next question gonna be the end question? I like that one.
Okay, well, I mean, and you can put in and then ... and we'll go there. So first of all, because there is actively restoration and reconciliation taking place. There is actively healing taking place. There's healing and reconciliation taking place in your king and queen relationship. Marcel, Ryan, Church, Keon, D'Angelo, you all are actively in relationships with your queen, and you are walking in your kingship, right? In the reconciliation and healing, which is a verb, not in the form of a noun, that's actively taking place as you are engaging in it and detoxifying things daily. So I'm saying not in, because that means that you're already in the thing and doing it. And that means there is hope because you're actively in it and doing it. For the person that's not in it, preach, Tony, and that is hoping for it, preach, Tony, but still not in it, preach again, Tony, pass the plate. Thank you, Lord. I'm saying, is there hope for the potential king or the actual king and actual king for healing and restoration in that relationship? Is there hope for it?
That's that power of context that Marcel was talking about earlier. That's literally it. You heard a sermon in the word, spirit jump, as Queen Tony gave you that context. That's so much to this conversation, this question. Dead serious too. I think, and where I think about that layer of context in something so powerful. Me and D'Angelo were talking about it recently, and my mind shifted when a conversation that me and Marcel had damn near 3-4 years ago on a beach down in Southern California. One of the funniest slices of my life, by the way, too, with the laughs we had. But it's this idea of what can you see? What's visually there, right? D'Angelo and Keon talked about this thing of like generationally, it's like there's that hopelessness of like, is it there? Because it's so many layers, right? And for me, that's where I live in that question of scar tissue. How heavy is that scar tissue that we're trying to unpack and the layers that are there? The other part of it, though, is can we see something forward, right? I love hearing now, current day, where I hear folks acknowledge I am my ancestors' wildest dreams, right? there was a vision for what our generation was supposed to be, and we're living into that, right? And we're now projecting the next version of that. So I've been trying to call in the spaces where we're doing like, deep brain work and thinking through like, what's the solution that we have? Let's bring in our visual artists. Let's bring in the folks who can see things that other people can't see in conceptualization wise now, and let them create that vision based on what they're hearing. Because now we're starting to envision it. And when I'm saying this conversation happened with me and Marcel years back was, I asked this question to him, and I'm not asking this question here because we're going to go into this in 4 question more so. But at the time I asked this question to Marcel, like, when did you realize that you were having to, like, when did you first see your city differently based on the work that you're doing? And he talked about at his elementary school, there's these paintings of Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X and all these Black leaders. And that embedded something. That was a seed planted. And where he realized that was an organizer who made that happen, because nowhere else in the city of Fresno was that present. So to see that sparked something in him that has him making generational change now. So what are those visual representations? What are those things we need to be able to see, imagine, and dream about that can get there? And now I got another question on dreams. I'm going to follow on the back end of this conversation, maybe for conversation 3, about did you feel like you were allowed to dream, Black man? That's a whole other conversation. So I'm going to wait for that. I'm going to put a pin on that and put that in the parking lot. But yeah, definitely want to keep digging into that question of, is there hope for the reconciliation and healing for the Black king and queen? And then however we transition to that end part, because I think, man, there's a lot there.
Okay, Church.
I think the confusion is when we speak in a broad perspective of not self, right? We start answering questions for other people. It throws us off as a race, right? Because a lot of times we look in the perspective of everybody and how the lens is, right? But the lens is different from people because perspective, right? My perspective is different. When you think about it, reconciliation, you got to think about how strong the Black king and queen have been through generations, right? You think about how we've been torn apart. If you just want to go back to slavery, before we even get to the 80s and the 70s of crap, right? We can get there too. But when you think about slavery, Black men was torn apart and taught to, made to be seen as lesser than as the slave owner, right? To the queen. He can't defend you. He won't protect you. He's going to do whatever I say. Yet the queen would still run right behind him when it was time to leave that plantation and try to fight for your life, right? So the reconciliation was never lost in my eyes, right? We were always right there, but the part of them trying to tear us apart has always been there, right? So we tend to take more eyesight into the pain of what happened to us instead of looking into the lens of the greatness that we've always had, right? So it's always my perspective to look at what's better than what's worse. So my perspective is different. That's the confusion of the question we just had. When I say reconciliation, what are we reconciling? Are we reconciling our strength? Because it's never been lost. Are we reconciling our passion? Because we've never lost it. Are we reconciling our love? We've never lost it.
Okay,
Are we reconciling anything? Because
wait. Well, then wait. I often ask myself, and y'all see Toya, so y'all know. I see you see Toya. Toya, you're more than welcome to join us. All you got to do is let me know, and I'll send you a link and bring you in. So, what are we reconciling? Lift your head up, church. I know you're taking notes, but lift your head up. There you go. Why? The reason why I say, wait a second, is because, so if we have to just be that deep, then let's go ahead, and do it. D'Angelo, what would need to be reconciled between the Black king and queen?
Your question is, what would need to be reconciled between? I think it first starts with the Black queen and king, right? We're thinking about structure, kind of what Church is saying, right? Like there has always been structure here in this country to defeat us, right? I think and this goes, I mean, I'm gonna stay on point on the topic of kings and queens, but this goes for Black people in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
We first have to reconcile within ourselves, right? This hatred that we have for first self and then one another is real, right?
Okay.
And until we can be on one accord and get on one page together, then the devices of white America will continue to be victorious, right? So there's this how are we working together, Black men, on really edifying, lifting up, and empowering Black women, right? That's first, right? We need to really uh, uh, look at ourselves in the mirror and examine ourselves and say, how am I daily lifting up Black women in a way that they are viewed differently by other Black men? I'm not talking about viewed differently by the world or any other nationality or race. I'm talking about us, right? We talking about assumptions. There's this assumption that Black men don't love Black women, right? And that's just not real. That's not true. I have a friend that her motto is niggas ain't shit. That's her whole motto. And she's right. Niggas ain't shit, but Black kings and Black men are worth their weight in gold. And so how do we begin to lift up these Black kings to really understand a perspective, who they are, loving themselves, and turn that around on our Black women, right? That's a number one for reconciliation, right? There is some true trauma that has happened to the Black man since he's got here, right? Really, truly watching our women and daughters be raped, pillaged, and burned, and not being able to do anything about it has fucked up our psyche. And people will say that happened 500, 400 years ago. Yes, that's real, but our DNA was scientifically changed because of this shit, right? And so we're constantly fighting to understand how to protect and love and serve our Black women based on historical trauma that we experienced a long time ago. So reconciliation first begins with us really, truly loving, lifting up, edifying our Black women.
And then,
is that your responsibility?
I think it is our responsibility, and it is also reciprocal. You know, we can only do our part, right? We can't do our Black women's part because it's their part to lift us. The same that I just named, you know, for us for Black women is the same for Black women to Black men. But I'm talking to men right now, right? And it's very important that we get this because, to me, Black women can solve the problems of the world if we just put them in the positions that they need to be. Right? They have the answers. They have the solutions. And truthfully, it's been sitting on their backs for so long. Let's just look at one system, one structure, that being the Black church, right? A Black man leading the way, but the Black women are doing all the work, right? The Black women are why the Black church is still a thing, right? And so that's just one system, right? And then we get into all the other systems where Black women are really moving the needle, and it's really up to us. And I know Church said, you know, we're painting broad strokes and using big lenses, but I know the men on this call understand this, and I hope the men that are listening get this. It really is in our Black women, the womb of this earth, to deliver what needs to be delivered for transformation and reconciliation.
Yeah, you know, I believe it's the Black woman and the Black man. It's us. It's us. It's us together, moving in tandem as a unit. That's my personal belief, right? It is an us thing. And in terms of the reconciliation of the king and queen, we're talking about all of us, right? So I think it's the majority. I think it's as long as the majority shifts, the consciousness of the majority shifts, we'll be all right. Right? The little small pockets and silos and here and there. Somehow the collective got to come together to move that needle. It has to be when the majority is operating in that space. Because even on the flip side of things, and again, I'm representing the hopeful and the hopelessness. This is the reality of where we are. Even let's just say spiritually or biblically or whatever you guys believe in, right? In those times, like none of this shit is written to get any better, y'all. Like there's a whole thing that has to happen. We know the future is darker in general on this planet. The future is darker. So I have to be real with myself and the things that I believe and incorporate, those things into my answering of these questions. And it's an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle. The spirit of darkness, the spirit of evil, the spirit of wickedness. These things are all attacking us regularly at all the time. And yeah, we fortified by spirit and God or whatever the hell you believe in. But on this realm, on this planet, in this day, in this age, on this earth, darkness rules. And unless you come fortified or you're enlightened or some shit like that, the world has its way. The world really has its way. So again, because of who we are, I'm hopeful. But because of what the other things that I know and believe in, I'd be like, ooh. And even on that side, I believe that even if you're going into a fight, you're finna get your ass beat. You're finna lose the fight. You don't stop fighting. You keep swinging. So I believe our reconciliation is always worth fighting for. It's always worth showing up for. It's always worth, getting down and dirty for. But I don't know. I can't say that I know we're going to win the battle and that everything going to be hunky-dory and we're going to get to fucking Wakanda. I don't know. I hope we do. I would love if we do, but the way things is and how we being attacked. I mean, in social media, in the music, in the shows, in the content, in the fucking cartoons, your babies is being worked on. And we being worked on the same time as adults out in the world. So I don't I love to believe the shit, but I don't know it. I just don't know.
I have a comment and a question. It kind of Yuki. I know when you first jumped on, Tony said Sawubona, and the conversation we've been talking about now kind of reminds me of Ubuntu. Like I am because we are because I am, and how we have to move back into this collective space of we are one. This whole myth of being disconnected and othering is a part of white supremacy. But I think for you, Keon, man, I do have a question. So I mean, it's not a critique. It's just like a question because it's my lens. It's coming from different perspectives. The way I've kind of seen the world is that fatalism takes kind of like over the mind of the oppressed, right? And so you're in a slave field and they're telling you, nigga, you will never be free. You don't even think about it. Your freedom will come when we get to heaven, because we don't want you to fight against a system that we've created, that we've imagined that we are God over, right? Because if you do, you're going to get free and you'll realize you'll come into your own humanity, right? And so the question I think for you is, like, as you speak about it, I'm not going to say it's fatalistic, but I have a hopelessness to it. Like, where does that hopelessness kind of come from? Because for me, I can't understand it outside of under the umbrella of oppression. And so I'm not saying that's where you're coming from, but I want to understand it from a different lens if you have that.
He says, oh, where does it come? I mean, it comes from reality, not necessarily. I would say the truth of what we at. Whether it be oppression, whether it be, living in the United States, but it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's the planet. It's the planet in which we live in. I think just because it's a sunny day don't make it a beautiful day. Right now it's beautiful outside. Some ill shit is happening to somebody right now somewhere. More than one person. It's just the reality of what it is. I can't fake myself out. I love great conversation and enlightenment and all that shit, but I can't fake myself out. I know what's really going on this planet, in this world which we live. And we're being attacked, and everybody's not as resilient. Everybody hasn't done the work to really, to get through shit. There's a lot of weak people out there, and I can be weak myself sometimes. We're human beings, and as human beings, there's just shit that just come with life. There's just shit that comes with life. And as it pertains to us, on a whole, again, just because motherfuckers is finally getting money don't mean niggas ain't still slaves. Just because you got, a bunch of rich ass niggas, it don't change shit. The fact is, we in terrible condition in general.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. You know what? And I heard that. I need to make room for Ryan. D'Angelo, you had something to say. At the end of the day, I reject it. If you say, if you're telling me in this space that you give me permission to operate from a posturing of perspective, and that my perspective is my truth, and I get to walk in that truth, I'm saying my perspective is my truth. It may not be your truth. Might not be the absolute truth, but damn it, it's mine. I choose to not be a slave. And damn, I don't know what freedom looked like because I wasn't born into it. But I know that in my mother's womb, I was conceived in freedom, that I was constructed and developed in freedom. Damn it, in the beginning, I was free. I was free when I was made. I was free and made in the image and likeness of God. So white supremacy in this world, it has said I'm a slave. It's told me that this is what I'm supposed to be. And I done bought the bullshit. I done drank the Kool-Aid. I done ate it. I done sipped from it. But some way, shape, or form, revelation knowledge hit me and said, no, you are not a slave. You are free. He who the Son has set free is free indeed. And I am not going to continue to walk around in a slave mentality because the system said I got to be a slave. Some way, shape, or form, I'm going to figure this out. I believe there is hope for reconciliation. I may not ever see it in my lifetime. I may not ever see it in my children's lifetime, but I believe it. I can feel it, taste it. It's there somewhere in my DNA, in my bones. I know it's there. And so I'm striving for it.
Something that D'Angelo often says, and he mentioned it earlier, and I know we talk about it in context, in and out and whatnot, is this idea of vibranium. Right, that was given to us in the Black Panther world, right? That visual, that dreaming part of it, right? But he says Black love is vibranium. That's our superpower, right? And me and Keon just had this conversation. Shoot, this last week I actually tapped in with most of y'all. Church, we need to tap in, bro. That's what that just told me. I tapped in with these three this past week, but I ain't tapped in with you yet, so we need to tap in directly. But that's another conversation. Me and Keon talked about this thing though of we as Black people, and especially Black men, we have to be more intentional about seeing one another. So Sawubona and Ubuntu, both of those things speak into seeing and acknowledging who you are and who we are. And I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge. I know in this conversation we've been talking very binary of kings and queens, right? But our spectrum of Black identity goes beyond that, goes beyond gender and all that those things too. And in that same breath, if we're talking about the layers and pains that happen, we have to acknowledge every part of our brother and sisterhood and otherhood that needs to be acknowledged, protected, felt, loved, and supported. I was also pushing that toy jump on this call because I tapped in with her this week too, and we had this conversation about the power when a Black person acknowledges all of who you are. Let's just sit in that. When another Black person acknowledges who you are and all of who you are, there's something that unlocks, that uplifts, that, as you said earlier, Tony, it pulls you into a higher state of being, right? It elevates you. That's what you had said. And it's I've felt it from everyone on this call where y'all have spoken to me and said something to me, and I'm like, wait, me? But the imposter syndrome of all the depression that we've been talking about and unpacking or whatever would make me believe otherwise. But when I hear from y'all, oh no, that's truth. I don't know what that other bullshit was that I was listening to, but that what you just said, that's truth, and I need to start working on that truth. And I need to step in. And the more I step into it, the more I show up in that, right? But it's that part of how are we acknowledging? How are we seeing? How are we intentionally being of our brothers, sisters, and siblings across our Black diaspora, because we're all encountering some level of oppression and harm and whatnot, right? We can't be the ones continuing to others. So to continue to oppress, continuing to harm. So it's that piece of like, for me, I don't believe in preaching anything that I'm not actively practicing.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you that you need to uplift other people if I'm not actively doing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to tell you that you need to work on restorative justice if I'm not actively doing it, right? Because I'm understanding how difficult that walk can be. I'm understanding what pops up with it. And it gives me opportunity to come to a space like this and share what that is and figure out other approaches, other perspectives that give me a better vantage point of like, oh, that's how we can address that problem, right? But if we're not doing that intentional part of, again, going back to the front part of it, of seeing each other to say, what's good with you, bro? How you doing? What's good with you, sis? What's good with you, fam? How you doing, right? It changes the energy. Marcel talks about it all the time, where I think he was outside of a liquor store or something like that, and a brother said, why don't you just smile at another man? Where instead of having that grill and that energy of like, man, it's probably going to be a problem I have to pull out on him, I smiled and nodded. I'm like, what's up with you, bro? And it changed the entire energy, right? That part of seeing and acknowledging, I think, is so key to everything else we're talking to, because it's the start part of what's happening in our house, what's happening in our home, what's happening in our community, what's happening in our kingdom.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Oh yeah, I could say some more stuff, D'Angelo.
Yeah, this is really good. What was I going to say? Oh, I just want to go back to something I was saying, and then my brother Keon lifted up. He made a statement that it's an us thing, and I totally agree with that. But I want for video contents, when people go back and listen to this, I want to again lift up the Black woman. I don't want it's an us thing to be the last statement. That's perspective for sure, but I want to explain what I'm saying, right? I agree, it is an us thing, but until we prefer one another over self, right? When we start thinking that it is only the Black woman, and when the Black woman starts thinking it is only the Black man, that's when it becomes it is an us thing. And I know Keon has that with his spouse. I know Ryan has that with his spouse, and I'm hearing that with my other brothers and their spouses. And that's what what we need to get to, right? It is an us thing. But when we say that we are serving kings first, like servant comes before king, we are saying that it is about the Black woman and the edification of the Black woman. And when the Black queen is saying, I'm a servant queen, she is saying that same thing. It is about the Black man and if we can get on this mindset of just preferring the other over self, over union, boom, it explodes. It explodes. If we can both have that mindset, it explodes. Reconciliation. That's when reconciliation begins to happen.
Church, you coming up next. I want to say, D'Angelo, that every single time you have spoke in regard to edifying the Black woman, that it is like healing salve to my spirit, that as a Black Democrat, that as a Black woman, that I have stood by and supported the Black man to the best of my ability, even in his absence. That in this season of my life, that I have held it down for years and then tried to step back when he showed up, even when he showed up not knowing how he needed to show up for me. That I have stood and had his back even when he didn't have mine, or actually stuck me in the side or pushed me to the side in order to further promote himself on my birthing, my pushing, my bringing into fruition. That I've supported his vision, and I'm not saying his as a singular. I hope that we are in a conscious enough space to understand that I have supported his singular and his collective. I've supported the church vision. I've supported the work vision. I've supported the concrete vision. I've supported the vision, the vision, the vision. Even when my name couldn't be mentioned, wouldn't be mentioned, or if I got any accolades, I needed to be silenced or what have you, because for whatever reason, that king isn't ready yet to acknowledge that a queen could hold it down in his absence. And the queen's only holding it down in his absence because he hasn't shown up sawabona yet. So I appreciate the healing salve that is coming from your spirit as you speak in this moment. Yes, it is us. And the reason why she's holding it down in some cases is because she's waiting for the we to show up.
Ashe.
Yeah, so I'm blowing my hands because you just gave me a chill. Right? I don't know what this is, Like, I fucking love it. I fucking love it. Like, man, hey, I used to hate studying on Saturdays. I hated Saturday school. Take me there. Before I even get to the points I wanted to make, because I'm finna take y'all on a ride. I've been taking notes. I fucking love this. I just want to throw it out there. Excuse my language for everybody out there. The appreciation level of what I have for this moment and what was just said, unmatched. Unfucking matched, bro. Like, oh, it's so hard out here as a black man to just feel appreciated sometimes.
And can we please acknowledge, church, please acknowledge what just happened?
I appreciate y'all. You know what I mean? You know, I'm one of them people who like to give advice. I'm one of them people who gives great advice, I like to think. And I'm one of those people who people lean to when times get hard to get picked back up. I'm in a great space, but the tears in my eyes are so much joy, y'all. I promise you. Like, I don't think people get the level of understanding and perspective of what's happening right now. Like, it's a small step in life, but this is big for me as a man, as a leader, as a friend, as a brother, as a husband, as a father. This is fucking great. Not only has every perspective been different, but it's just respected. Like, no matter what we say, when we say it, I can't relate, but I can fucking respect it. And I can feel what you're saying because not only have I heard it, I've seen it. Right? So let me get into my point. This is what I was saying before we started. I believe there is hope and reconciliation because what I was getting to is when I said, what are we reconciling? I was saying all of the strengths that we have, right? So I can get to this point here. What we're reconciling is the message that was given from outside of our community, right? Because what we take to 10 is what people tell us we don't have, what we can't do, what we won't go, right? So, and we hold on to it because they're telling us we can't. And then we don't realize that our mind has just been switched from the level that it was already on because they're taking us somewhere else. Now they have us thinking about something that we shouldn't have been thinking about because the black woman has always had the black man's back. That's why she was willing to die in slavery for us, right? The black woman has always lifted the black man up. That's why she would not get out her seat on the bus, right? Right? Just follow me for a second, right? The black woman has always lifted the black man up. That's why when my father was in the crack house, my mom held me down but told me my dad was on vacation. The black woman has always been there, right? So just lie with me for a second, right? So when we say what we're reconciling is a mindset that's not ours. We're reconciling a mindset and a path that we've been given to us and told us that's the path we should be on. That's the mind we should have. This is how we should feel about the black man as a black man. You don't lift him up because he doesn't care about you. That's a fucking lie. I don't believe in you. You can't bring me down. That's devil's talk. We don't believe in our women. That's a fucking lie. I know more successful black fathers than anything in this world. I know more successful black women with college education than anything in this world. Yet they'll tell you that the numbers say that's not the truth. That's a fucking lie. And that's how our race has been given and seen in this world with lies, right? But the lies have been seen so much that that's all you see. So you think it's the truth. All right, so let me get back into my point. I'm in the end state. And that's the reason why my mindset switched the question because I can't see what I don't know, right? You can tell me and then I can hear it. But if you show me, then I won't need you to tell me anything because I've seen it, right? Bring me to the water and leave me. Let me figure out that I need to drink it, right? Don't show me anything that I don't need to see. We're taking grasp of everything that we don't need to see and we're seeing it. Right. And now we're unseeing everything that we know for a fact we have queens, right? The black man has always been the king. Nobody cares about somebody that's weak. So when you're weak, nobody bothers you when you're in the PE line and you got to climb up the rope because they know you can't do it, but they're going to hold on to the person that climbs up the fastest because he seems strong. Right? So why do you think they try to tear down the black man? Because we're the fucking strongest. That's it. Right? But we don't see that. All we see is we go against each other. That's a fucking lie. The perspective you have, I don't see it because I've been seen to be different. I've been felt to be different. I've been heard as a king. So you're not about to sit here and treat me like anything else because I'm not settling for it. The settlement is what we need to reconcile. We have a settlement mind state. I don't want a fucking settlement. I want my reparations, bro. And my reparations don't need to be given to me because I've always had it. I need to realize that, right? I need to know that. That's what we need to reconcile. We need to reconcile us as, like y'all said. That's why I was so mad when I stopped talking, because y'all said exactly where I was going, and it made me cry because how can you know what I was going to say when I didn't fucking say it, right? What are we doing? We live it, right? We being us. And that's what we are, right? When we come together and we take that fucking anger out of our heart, we take that passion out of our heart and we push that shit out into the universe gives it back. We just have to fucking accept it. Brings me into my next point. Black men need to learn how to fucking accept being seen. They don't not see us. We just don't accept being seen. I see you. Hey, bro. Ryan, we don't talk, bro, but when we message, it's passion. I see you, bro. Sale, bro, we met at a fucking conference. We've talked like twice since. I see you, bro. Every time you say something, it's respected because I fucking know that you're telling me the truth because I've seen you face to face give me this passion as a man. D, we never met, bro, but all I got to tell you is, nigga, you know what it is. I see you, bro. Keon, bro, your perspective is always different from mine, bro, but I respect your perspective because I see you, my dude. Like, it's respected. And what's neat to be accepted is just that we're different, but I respect you. That's all that needs to be had. Once our respect comes from within, nobody can tell us anything from the outside because we know what it is, right? Nobody can tell you that you're not a millionaire when you're looking right at your bank account and it says you're a millionaire, right? Nobody can tell you that. But if you believe them, then you're telling yourself. The worst lie you can tell somebody is the one you tell yourself. Period. You lie to yourself, then all you're doing is killing your own mindset, right? And women have supported the vision before the vision was stated, right? It was like the woman was put on this earth with the vision, and she had to wait for us to catch on to what the vision was so that we can start walking the path and start being the leaders that we wanted to be. Not that we were told we had to be, that we wanted to be. A leader is somebody who wants to lead, somebody who wants to be strong, somebody who sees greatness and fights for it, right? That's a woman. Not just a woman, that's a black woman. Think about it. From the beginning of time, everything you've heard about a black woman has been what? Great. And everything they've showed you has been torn apart, skipping out the greatness and living in a struggle. So now we live in a struggle and we forget that there's greatness inside that struggle, right? Everything that happens to you has something that you can learn from, that you can build from, that you can grow from. We take the learning, we take the building, we take the growing and push it in the back of our mind and we hold on to the struggle. Why is that? Right? And now they think that they're winning a battle that they never even had a chance to win because we believe that they're winning a battle. They're not. We're letting them stay in a race that we have started because they told us that we started behind and now we believe it. And then once we realize that we're actually behind, we start to build back into the generations of why we're behind. And then you go into, now we get to where bro was at with the crack. Let's just start with that right there. That's what he said. Let's start with that. You can't start with that because that's the end, right? The shit was already started. That's where they ended us at because then they figured out how to actually infiltrate our fucking minds and take our power. They took it from us because we let it, right? And now we start looking at people like Huey P. when he fall off, like, oh, he fell off, he was a crackhead, but you're going to forget all the fucking greatness he had in him and what he did for us, right? That's what we do. As men, as a generation, as black folks, that's what we do. We tend to lend our lens to the evil and the tragedy and the trauma, and then it tends to block the greatness. The greatness stands so much taller than everything we had You just tend to forget about it like it's a distant memory. But that's all we see. And that's why my perspective is different, just to get back to the point. And I believe that we don't need hope because we're living in it right now. Hope is something for people who don't know what it is, right? I don't have hope. I have passion, right? I have guidance. I have vision. I have love. I have friends with power to lift me up over the ceiling so I can climb up and turn back down and pick them up with me. And then they can turn around and we can make a ladder and pick everybody else up as long as we're willing to stop putting blindfolds over our face. Thank y'all. I had to get it off. I fucking appreciate y'all. Like, no matter what happens, I appreciate y'all. I promise y'all that. I appreciate
Respect, man. Respect.
Oh, y'all had me crying, man. I needed it. Hey, man. Hey.
But
One thing I will
everything-
say to y'all is that can't nobody hold us down, like Diddy said. Can't nobody
Yeah.
take our pride unless we let it.
D'Angelo, your body language, you leaned in.
A misconception that black men don't cry.
Man,
That's a misconception, right? I need to process. Like y'all know me, Tony, right? I can't say anything. I need to process. The man just gave us so, if gluttony is a sin, I want to be a sinner because he just gave us so much food to consume, man. I can't wait to go back to the video and listen to that. Thank you.
Yeah. And I seen Marcel in the private chat where you put greatness. The comment that you made about greatness, it took me back to, I just remember, everything comes back up in this, when we were talking about grammar and intensive grammar, what I learned, church, is that if you have a compound sentence, you never end a compound or a compound complex sentence with a statement that you don't want to, you don't want to start it with the most important thing you want the people to remember. You end a compound sentence or a compound complex sentence with what you want the people to remember. Where I'm going with that is that if I say, I love you, but such and such and such and such, you're going to remember what came after but. You're not going to remember, I love you. So I'm so careful, one, not to say but and erase what I said before. But also, if I'm going to say I love you and, I need to make sure that the and is what I want you to remember. In the 20s, you said Huey. They remember he was a crackhead because it's the compound complex sentence and it was ended with he was a crackhead. Meaning they don't remember what happened before the comma in that sentence of his life because they remember what was ended. It's up to us to remind them of what was before. And I don't even know if we can erase the end part of it. I don't, at this point, I could care less. I give two damns about the end part of it. When I see Marcel and Keon, oh, thank you, Holy Spirit, Keon. Oh, and it's gonna confuse some people because yes, I cuss sometimes too, and so I don't want to confuse folks. Y'all, it's gonna be all right. Keon, you're holding my baby, and that baby, that young lady, it was engrafted into my heart, in my spirit, like I'm a grandma or something, right? And you all allowed me to just kind of latch on to her in that way. Where I'm going with this one is when I heard her and I see you with her, when I see her, I know that she is a queen in the making. So what does that mean? That means she's already a queen. She just hasn't, she hasn't arrived into that status yet, right? But she's already a queen. You all, and when she looks at you, she is learning and becoming a queen based on how you entreat her, how you love her, how you speak to her, how you pour life into her. My father disrupted my life by speaking things that were opposite and contrary of who it is that God ordained and created me to be. When my father came into himself, thank you, God, and recognized where he was and what, and then came back to heal and reconcile with me, he began to speak to me who I was, overriding the things that he had said prior to. Him speaking life into me over and over and over again. You are a good woman. You are a good mother. You are a beautiful young lady. You are a godly woman. He tells me and affirms me so much. D'Angelo, it would be difficult for somebody to come and tell me something contrary because my daddy said. Because that man that has been given the power to speak things into existence and create said, man, I'm telling y'all, men have the ability and the power to just speak life and to speak healing, to decree a good thing. And it literally washes over the psyche, the heart, the brokenness and the wounds of a queen. There's so much power that you all have and house. Sawubona, I see y'all receiving it. It's amazing to me. Okay, I'm backing up. I take up too much space. Who taking it? Ryan, Marcel, Keon?
I'll stand in a moment just and receive the healing. So I turned 40 on June 28th. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. I don't celebrate my birthday. Don't celebrate itself. And my wife and my kids did, but it goes back to that thing of not wanting to be seen, right? I've lived my whole life not to celebrate my birthday, and I want to be seen. If I accomplish something, it's just I keep it pushing. It's what I do. I'm a soldier. So I do receive the healing around being seen and having the openness to welcome being seen. So maybe next time I'll do better.
So look, I'm gonna go back to my brother, because when he said what he said, that we talked about that black man holding space and being seen, and how he operates, it 1,000,000% resonated with me. But it also to me was a call. A call to hold my brother. So first and foremost, happy belated King Day, Marcel. Happy 40th, bro. You made it 40 of them things here, and you still going strong. That's
Happy New Year.
Happy King Day. Give him his roses, y'all. Give him his roses, y'all.
Brian, just real quick. Remember your thought, but I was having a conversation. You made it to 40, bro. And I was joking with my sisters. One of them made it to 40, and I was like, y'all middle age. And they're like, yep, because women only live in the 80. And I'm like, damn, then middle age for black men is 25. So you well over that, brother. Praise God.
More life. Happy New Year.
I'm saying,
happy belated, bro. Always a blessing.
I'm saying, and we have to prioritize that, because I feel it, Marcel. I feel it. When you said it, and you said it's part of the thing of where I'm selective in when I speak, and when I do speak, I speak fast because I want to get it out and then step back. You have a right to space, bro. There are generations impacted by your every thought. Your every thought, generations are impacted by. And as a practice, this is a practice of accountability, because I've been working on it myself, and I still jump in and out of myself of when I am doing it, when I need to, and all that stuff. We have to be bold enough to share that out. We have to stop being selfish and not letting that out, because that's something that we need to give. It was given to us in divine. We need to give it in divine. So the more that we step back and that we hold space, and I understand why we do it. Trust me, if you know it more intimately than I do, right? I'd argue, at least, I'm speaking I statements on that part of it. And I fully recognize that we have to share these things out. That's why I'm so thankful and appreciative that Tony called us out to say, look, y'all hopping on this call, y'all gonna have this conversation, right? Because I believe at one point or another, we've had conversations across these relationships that, man, we need to have a space for black men, right? And I'm glad that it's intentional that it's happening. And I want us to make sure that we continue to see each other and hold space for each other to be seen and be in our fullness. Because it was something that came up on the call that Marcel and I were on. There truly doesn't feel like there's a space for us as Black men to be who we are in our fullness. Another brother said, I can't often speak in like my just true authentic voice because it's a threat to somebody. And I was like, whoo, when he said that, man, in my own home, I speak in a hushed tone because I'm mindful of my energy and how big it can be and how imposing it can be. And my family, my wife, love her to death. Ebony Chambers McClinton, that's my wife. I love that she creates space and makes sure that I have space for it. And it's that part of like us dialoguing helps her understand like, yo, when I'm saying that I can't speak and where I don't have space, I'm trying to unpack and unwork that thing. I'm not putting it on you. I'm not saying that this is your fault or something that you're not doing. No, it's quite the opposite. It's that as you're giving me space, this is what it looks like with me unpacking it. And I got to keep doing that work. So Marcel, happy motherfucking 40th birthday, King. When I get to you, we're going to do something to celebrate. I don't know what it is yet, but we're going to figure it out. I don't give a damn. That's 100% happening. But I'm going to pull you into space if you don't start taking your space. That's my commitment.
We tapping in first, huh? I'm gonna see you.
Yep. Sure will be. That's
hey, so yeah, I was just gonna say that. I was like, yeah, and just gonna acknowledge the fact that bro said he doesn't celebrate himself. We need to stop that. This is the last fucking year you say that, bro. Tomorrow's not promised. You do too much for too many people to not acknowledge the fact that you're 40 fucking years old, bro. You deserve to be celebrated, bro. It's facts. Like every time I'm on Facebook, it's you in a picture, like in the background. I be seeing you in the background, like you ain't make every fucking thing happen. Like, look at this dude, bro. Like, acknowledge yourself, man. You fucking deserve it, bro. Like, come on, stop that. You gonna try to casually, yeah, my wife and my kids do. Like, hey, oh, okay, bro. All right, we see you. No, we acknowledge you, bro. We giving you this new. Happy fucking birthday, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro.
Word.
Yeah,
And I feel him so much on that. Like, I prefer to fade into the background, right? It's good to be seen, and I guess it feels nice, you know. But for the most part, I get it's the person that I am. I don't know if I've been trained that way or what, but I prefer to just, you know, I exist. It's like a lie and truth, right? The truth gonna exist whether somebody acknowledge it or not, right? And I feel like that's where I be at. Like whether I'm acknowledged or not, I know that I'm here. Da, 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 da. So, but I kind of feel that. And thank you for saying that, Church, in terms of you know, you cleared a lot of that up, but I tend to fall where Marcel at. I'm like, you know what I mean? I have a voice and whenever I put myself out there, but I prefer not to, you know what I mean? My personality, you know, the person that I am in design, I prefer to just be in the cut.
Man, I got this belief where I just believe that I need to push all the positive energy out into whenever I need to, right? But with that belief, then when it comes around and turns to myself, how do I not do the same? All right, we got to change it, bro. Like I hear what I was like that too, but then I started to realize, like, man, like if I don't love me more than everybody else, then how am I gonna make them love me? Like, you know what I mean? So let's love ourselves first, and then let everybody else fall in line with how much we love ourselves to level how much we need to be loved. Like, you know what I mean? If I'm loving myself this much, you can't come over here and love me this much because it's not gonna match up, right? Let's love ourselves this much because the love you giving out, and tell, bro, that this shit's always up here, bro. Like if somebody calls your phone at 3:00 in the morning, say, I guarantee you're gonna pick up. I guarantee it. Hey, I need you to pull up on me, bro. This such happened. Where you at? 10 minutes. You right where they said you needed to be. Come on, bro.
And that's law. You absolutely, even that. And when I'm communicating, I'm reaching, I said, this is my number. Call at any hour that you need me. This how I give it out without, you know. So the fact that you say that, you know what you know what you say, yo. Yeah, I hear you.
I want to repeat. Can I repeat one thing? Because I heard it resounding, and then D'Angelo back up again. Marcel, I believe that it's important and imperative that you know that what is being said in the spirit that you need to hold is that there it is. You deserve to be celebrated. Marcel, you have sown so much. You have poured and given so much. You have touched so many lives quietly. And God says, what is done in secret will be celebrated openly. He will reward you openly for what you do in secret. I praise God that you turned 40. I praise God that you've made it through the trenches, and I can understand also why it is difficult to celebrate you turning 40. And I know you don't like emotional stuff publicly. I can understand and relate in my heart and spirit why it would be difficult for you to celebrate another year of life when you have had to grieve and mourn the lives of so many that you have covered and blanketed and poured into. God celebrates you. We celebrate you. We honor you. And you know that every life that was lost that loves you would celebrate right now the fact that you turned 40. So if we don't celebrate just for yourself, you celebrate for them. They'd be pouring one out for the homie. They would be crip walking, even if they weren't in crips. They would do whatever it is because they love Marcel, because Marcel was their father. He was their uncle. He was the big homie. He was the man that stood in the gap when no one else did. He was the one that saw light when no one else saw light. One that would answer their phone calls, give them a ride, make sure that they ate, find ways in order to pull out goodness in them. And if they didn't make it till tomorrow, if they're not here today, you're worthy of being celebrated. I'm excited for you when God says, well done, good and faithful servant. In the meantime, we celebrate you now.
Thank you.
Ashe. Yeah, you're gonna take these roses, bro, because you deserve it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Take that L, baby.
Happy birthday. Oh, we ain't going all the way. All right, it's good.
Hey, my voice didn't sound right like I was saying.
But yeah, man, it's important, man. It's vitally important that you celebrate it and that you're honored right now today, because as you celebrate you, because that is legacy work, bro. There's so many lives that are connected to you still living and thriving and going forward that it's honoring to celebrate your life, bro. I'm honored to be able to sit here in this space and acknowledge your 40th, right? To be one of the few, well, now thousands of people are going to see this. I know you just turned 40, right? I'm honored to be part of that group that got that news, you know what I'm saying? It gets to start celebrating, I want us all to have that spirit of it, but intentionally for you, bro, because again, I've seen it in countless spaces, how intentional and strategic you are when you move into the background. I love what church called out, like, man, every time I see a picture, you off to the side or in the background, or you're not centered in that thing. And I know what that's about. I get it. And like I said, don't let me be in the picture with you, bro. Don't let me be in the picture with you, because I'm pulling your ass to the front. Instantly, treasure. You already know, bro. Exactly that. And I'm gonna do it with all of y'all, man, because we have to be seen, we have to be heard, we have to be felt, and it's beyond the ways that somebody said it earlier. Everybody else tells our story or talks about us, but us, and from our perspective. So I'm gonna give you all this love. I'm gonna make sure that you feel all this love, the same way that y'all do for me, the same way that, you know what I mean, we should be doing for every part of our community. But it starts with us. It starts with self. It starts with home. So get comfortable with the uncomfortable part of acknowledging yourself. And I'm saying this reflective because I know I'm terrible at it. But again, that's the accountability that we're going to hold to each other in this brotherhood.
So I need to transition us. Is that okay? D'Angelo?
I was going to say something before Elder Tony went forward, and just real quickly before the transition. Marcel, I know you're tired of being on the spot, so we'll move forward. But you and Keon, we all have that like spirit where, you know, acknowledgments or whatever we're not cool with. And I've actually been working on why. And I implore you both to ask yourselves why and where that comes from, because I'm the last to want to celebrate myself as well. I'm the last to take credit for all of the things that I've helped create and move into community and society. And I've been asking myself and examining myself as to where that comes from. And I would, you know, implore you both, brothers, to really search yourself and say, well, where does that seed come from? And if it's a seed that you need to uproot that.
I received that.
Yeah. Amen. So this is good stuff. There's been a lot of wisdom, a lot of jewels. I don't cast my pearls before swine, and I feel like it's been pearls, yes, prophetic pearls and treasures that have been laid out and dropped and well received. Um, I wanted to transition us, and I want to take a moment because Ryan, you've lifted up, and Church, you've lifted up too. You know, the need for spaces like this and more spaces like this. And I and I also have wrestled and struggled with, okay, well, wait, this is the king's court, but sometimes it takes a queen in order to create a thing. So sometimes the queen has to just, in order to make a demand on it and say, kings, I need you guys, because y'all love me. I know y'all gonna do a thing because Queen Elder asked you on the real. I need you guys to help others get where they need to go, because we need you. We need you desperately. We're bleeding out and hemorrhaging out here. We're tired. And we've got kings that are coming home and, that have been gone and in exile for many years. And we've got kings, that are coming through on the other side, and kings that are evolving. We got kings that done tapped out. There's all kind of states or what have you. I was having a conversation with a dear friend of mine who asked me if I would tell him if I could grade the status of the Black man as it pertains to my experience and how he's shown up for me. What grade would I give him? Yes. Yeah. And so it was a difficult conversation to have. He was a Black man. No, he is a Black man. And he is a Black king. And so it's been a good conversation to have. And he's a unique individual and friend that is showing up in the absence of others. And so now I'm making a demand and saying, kings, I'm gonna need y'all to do better, because I know that you're busy. I know that you're busy. I knew that you were busy when we were asking, when they would say, well, we need to mentor the young men because all the Black men, aren't here. And so we need to, and I knew that you were busy then, right? When I was trying to find somebody to help mentor my son in the absence of his father. Knew that you were busy then. Should have said, I need you to do better then. Now I can say it because of the status and where I'm at. Kings, I need to make a demand on you, plural, not just you, D'Angelo, but you and all that are attached to you, Ryan, all whom are attached to you. Kings, we need you to do better. We need you to not just talk about the space that needs to be created. We need you to create the space. And that means that if I need to birth it and create it and then back up in order for you to curate it, then so be it. I know how to create a space and get the food ready and all of that different stuff, and then allow y'all to thrive and do what you need to do while we're in the background. You tell us what you need, or step back and let us create it, but show up when we do. And we need you to show up. So why am I saying that? Ryan and I have talked about this over these next couple of months. We are going to have our roundtable. Ryan, come off mute, right? So we will do the King's Court live. But then in October, I think October, somewhere in October. Yes, in
October, yeah. October, possibly, yeah. November, I think, but October is, I think, where we're thinking.
In October, we're going to have a King's Roundtable in person. Mm-hmm. So we're having the live ones now. Look, Twyla and Talitha and the rest of you queens. Yes, we having coffee with queens once a month as well. So our follow-up conversation is going to be the coffee with queens. Any of you queens that want to tap into that, and here's how it's going to work. It piggybacks. We're having the King's Roundtable and then the coffee with queens. And that's when the queens come in, and that is our response. And so that is our response, right? It's a call and a response. But yes, Kings. So we're having the roundtables. We're having this conversation live, and then it is going to be an in-person conversation that takes place, and we'll be working on the venue and what that's going to look like. And that means that y'all get to come from far and wide, right? Marcel get to roll in from Fresno. Church get to come in with the homies from This Is Us. They with us, yeah. But and so this is the first time some of you are hearing about that. And so what say you? What y'all thinking about that? Conrad said he definitely gonna be there.
I'm with it.
Looking forward to that.
Yes. The church.
I already told you, Elder Tony, when I shake my head like this, no. That could be, yes, that could be. No, I'm there for sure. 150%.
Good question. Well,
what
that
do you think I'm gonna say?
Good question.
First off, Big Sis is doing it, so it's like it's not an invite. It's more like this is when you're supposed to be here. So let's throw that out there, right? So like, let's not act like we're not gonna be there. I'm there. This is not one thing I would like. I'm not missing this. That's not what we're doing.
Whoop. All right, Toya. Enough said. I will change the name of it. She said, "Why coffee with queens and not the Queens Round Table? That puts us back in the kitchen." Well, I'll bring you down the kitchen. Stop. Y'all better stop playing with me. I will learn from y'all. Ask and told. Look, okay, look.
I'm looking forward to Toya being on that round table too. I'm gonna say that. Toya, I'm waiting for that round table. I'm putting it on my calendar as soon as we drop the date.
Yeah, y'all might as well call it the Queen's Counter then, because they never left the kitchen. They was always cooking. Hey, they cooked the pot and we put the ingredients in. That's it. We ain't leave nothing. Let's throw it out there, Toya. The kitchen was never left. It was just taking a break from you. That was it.
So, Kings, we're wrapping up. I'm just gonna go around, and I kind of like to do this, and so I'm a kind of do it the same way that I have in the past. Based on this conversation today, there's been a lot of nuggets and everything that have been dropped. A lot of wisdom. Now that you're not a crab in the bucket and you're out the bucket sitting around the table, if you could speak to yourself when you were in the bucket, what's one thing that you would say to the king trapped in that crab's bucket? Just one thing.
Let's break this fucking wall and get out this bucket.
Okay.
Sorry for the brashness of it, but we ain't got time to play with it. Like, let's, instead of working on trying to climb on top of each other out, let's put our energy in breaking through this barrier right here and get through so we can get everybody out of here.
We just popcorn it. Everybody jumping in with their statement.
Yeah, man.
Man, I would tell little me that that's your brother, not your enemy.
Yo, I'm having a conference in the bucket. Yo, hey, y'all, chill the fuck out. We're stronger and better together. Let's get it done.
Keon, trust what you know and move on it.
Man, I don't know. These are all amazing. I think I would say a variation of all of those. I don't know. This is yeah.
I need to put this back, and I pray that you all receive it. I pray that everyone that sees this, every man, every king, you're not a king if you don't see yourself as a king. Once you see yourself as a king, start walking in it because you are one. Thus saith the Queen. Receive what she just said. That bucket, that's not your natural habitat. That is not your natural habitat. You were not created to exist there, right? Take us out. I'm giving it to you.
I don't want to take us out because y'all know I'll be held along with my win. But I just want to say this, right? It's been 7 months since we chopped it up like this. Let's not do that again.
Word. It's the intention. So are we gonna get public accountability and say, are we back here in 2 weeks? Are we back here in a month? Because y'all know everybody who's in these comments, we all know them, and they will be on our helmet if we don't follow up and make it happen. So what's our commitment to this space happening next? Is it 2 weeks? Is it a month? What's needed for y'all, fellas? I know we all got calendars and all that too, so it is 100% truly on the spot. But if we set the intention, if we prioritize the time that we need, and this is something that we've been talking about, right? How do we prioritize what we need so we can show up in all the other spaces that we need to? This is one of those things that we need. So
I could do it. I could do a month.
Next month. What say you, Kings?
Yeah, 3 weeks to a month is good. Cause we just got to figure out calendars and shit. But
Same time next month.
Next month would be what, the 6th?
It's the second Saturday.
Oh, the second, or the 13th.
It's the second Saturday of the month, so it would be the 13th. And
I would love the 13th would work perfect for me, but I also know, Ryan, in your calendar world, I don't know if that works for you.
we can figure that out. We can figure that out offline. But we just know that next month the King's Roundtable will be back, and then we'll be having these spaces. If there is any king out there that wants to be a part of this roundtable, Conrad, if you want to be a part of the roundtable, because you said, why are we in the bucket in the first place? Well, you ain't in the bucket. If you ask it why, you out the bucket looking down, asking them why they in there. You probably need to come on and join the roundtable.
Isaiah,
can I just say, I know we're inviting brothers out and whatnot. I'm really fucked up in a great way after today. Like I don't know how y'all are continuing to even couldn't even answer the crab in the bucket question because I am just so in process mode by everything everyone on this call has said and the affirmations that each of you have given to each other, right? And it's that whole lifting up of we don't see this, man. We don't see black men loving on black men, right? And 2 hours or whatever we spent went so fast. And I just want to say, man, I love y'all. And this has been some straight nourishment that I've needed for a very long time that I didn't even really know I needed. And I'm just thankful for the perspectives of each of you, the way you live your lives, the way you raise your households, but more importantly, what you've done for me on this call. So I'm blown away. I can't even articulate right now, man, just how much this couple hours has meant to me. So I thank you all and I love y'all.
Can I say?
Hold on, my bad, y'all. I was trying to catch it before somebody else went in. Before we go on any further, right? Let's just this is what I always do. How Elder Tony always try to throw him what she always does. This is what I always do. Just thank you. Just thank you, right? Because we hadn't said nothing about the convo. We probably wasn't gonna bring it up again. But as soon as the message go off, we bringing this back. When are we doing it? It was no, I can't make it because, like I said, I got stuff going on today. But for y'all, it's like it's unmatched energy, right? You can't find energy that gives energy to you, right? I mean, you understand what I'm saying? So when you're not taking energy, you're being given it, right? Here, take this energy. It's like this group is my solar panel, right? So I appreciate y'all. Tony, without you, it's like how we say this is King's Court. You're never a king if you don't have a queen. You're just a man.
That's right.
And she could be the woman king. I see that movie coming out next month, September. You can be the woman king. Sometimes it's like that. But I want to say this too. Usually, when crabs are in a barrel or in a bucket, somebody trying to devour those crabs. You dinner. So how do we get in the bucket, right? We are the meal. You know, we are. We again. When you when this crab's in a bucket, that means it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be cooked, and that's how we ended up in there, man. We the source. We the source of somebody else's.
I love y'all and I love this. I promise you. I know we could go on and on. Keon, in a real way, and hear my heart when I say I spent many years trying to carry both the mantle of the king and the queen in the absence of my king, unsuccessfully, because I was not created in my body to house both. I am a queen. I am the last piece standing on the chessboard. Everything is coming after me. It's my king's responsibility to ensure that they don't get me. I'm standing here to protect every piece that is there. I don't play checkers. I play chess. And I sit at the feet in council with the king in order to know how to throw down. If you tell me to cut off his head's coming off. But I'm not making a move without his counsel. I don't want to be the king.
Respect.
We just got to get off because we're not about to do this. Like we're not about to just drop a gym that we can't say nothing about. Like,
right.
You can't keep like that's like the 6th time you done did this in this conversation where you dropped the gym and just switched the conversation on us. Like we're not doing that. Hey, we can't do this. We gotta stop. We gotta leave, y'all. We can't do this because I want to start a whole nother conversation now.
Ryan,
that's facts. That's facts, Tracy.
You got to slide out for something, Ryan.
I'll close us out with these 2 things. One, and D'Angelo and I have talked about it. Tony and I have talked about it. With these King's Courts conversations, it's a beautiful space where we are going to keep having them. And one of the things that makes it so dynamic and so powerful is that the queen is there. So you see my twin in the chat, in the comments on the screen right now, talk about what this brother circle, this space is of where we have this conversation and the need for that queen's energy to be there, to what it brings out and what it unfolds and the layers that we're able to unpack together, right? So that's one part. We definitely are doing that. The second thing, and I know, blame me for this, blame my heart, my head, not my heart. August 13th, there in Sacramento, we are having a Black Women's Festival. Queen Elder Tony is going to be one of the speakers there. Queen Tia Harrison, Dr. Queen Tia Harrison will be one of the speakers there. It's going to be in William Land Park on the 13th. We are asking folks to pull up. For Black men, there's a very specific ask. I'm reaching out to y'all, and if y'all rock with me, and I'm gonna need y'all to rock with me. We want to show up to make sure our queens feel safe and that they have space. We want to edify them and make sure that they're able to be in their fullness, protected, living into it, pouring into one another, and we're by proxy pouring into them by making sure they have that space sacredly. So if you're down to volunteer, if you're down to show up for some Black women on August 13th, hit me up, because I'm definitely coordinating some brothers to go ahead and show up, and we're going to get love on too. You know what I'm saying? You already know what it is. When we're around Black women, we get love just being there. So please, if you're willing to, tap in with me. We want to set that up, but this is going to be a regular space that we're hoping to keep having, not hoping, we will keep having and growing from both a virtual space and in person that's coming up. So please keep tapping in. Brothers that are in here, Conrad, T. Stu, Isaiah, all y'all, man, keep pulling up. We love y'all. To the queens that are pulling up.
All right, take my number down.
Okay, so we're gonna tap out from the live space, and then y'all can do that on the debrief. So we appreciate you guys all. Flo, I hear you, and that's where we're going with this. This public conversation is important and great from healing, and some of these conversations will be even more powerful with just the brothers and no audience, and that's where we should be moving and striving to. So that is the to come. I love and appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for tapping in with us today with this anti-Black conversation, and this King's Roundtable. We will see you at the King's Roundtable in a month. And Queens, we will have our roundtable in a couple of weeks in response to this. All right. Peace out, you guys. Sawubona.
Peace, family.